I'm Peggy Kelly, and this is Good Morning Santa Paula. It's Thursday, July 9th, and today with me is Dan Singer, who's the city manager of Santa Paula, and we're going to be discussing various issues, and he's going to update us on much that's going on in the city. Good morning, Dan. How are you?
Good morning, Peggy. I'm doing well.
Good, good. And how are things going? I mean, I know COVID's still number one in the news and
Yeah,
everything, so you want to give us maybe an update on where the city's at with that?
sure. I mean, we've just like all over California and this county, we've seen a real increase in cases. We're up to a total of 270 in Santa Paula, which is approaching about 1% of our population.
Mhm.
But it's important to keep in mind, like, that's cumulatively, right? So we've been tracking
Yes,
this now for 5 months. And it
yes.
doesn't mean 270 people are walking around with it today. It's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about 20 to 30% of that may still be in that 14-day period or feel the effects of it. So, I think it's a little deceptive, some of the numbers that are thrown our way. That said, there's still a real concern about the increase of cases. It's not slowing down, it's doing the opposite. We have seen increases in hospitalizations, and that's a real concern for the county and for our residents. The death rate, luckily, has declined as a percent, and that's good news.
Mhm.
But it's going to be with us. I think this is just something that we need to fold into our daily lives and our routine. It is now part of our existence for at least the rest of this calendar year and probably for the next few years or until a significant vaccine is discovered.
Uh-huh. That's very true. And it is. It has to become second nature because I imagine that there's, as far as the protective measures go, because they've got more and more young people now are getting
Right.
ill, and they were the ones that feel that, and by young I mean anybody under 45, but they're that demographic just and younger even than that are getting even more because of the fact they just don't recognize the threat, I guess, or have this sense of that they're untouchable. It's really too bad. So hopefully people are going to be just really vigilant. And I know you're still taking very strong precautions at City Hall.
We have opened back up to the public on limited hours, but as
Hmm.
our signage says, we are asking people to practice the appropriate distancing and hygiene, face masks, you name it,
Hmm.
anytime they're in a public facility, and our employees are essentially doing the same thing. Um,
Yes. I
some
see
some of our
public employees
facilities,
out and about, and the
yeah,
police officers and everything, and they're all wearing masks. And
yes,
I'm glad to see that, especially police officers, firefighters, things like that, that really can come into hands-on contact with
that's
members of the
right,
public. It's very important that they be
that's right.
protected. Now, speaking of openings, now we've got a new order. We opened up the restaurants for a while there, and for dine-in restaurant with social distancing and things like that. Where's that at
Yeah,
now? I guess the governor
yeah.
pulled the plug. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
last Thursday, the governor, put us as well as 18 other counties on the kind of rollback list and began prohibiting indoor dining as well as some other indoor uses. And it's just really tough for our restaurants. Some of them finally opened up and really geared up,
Uh-huh.
and then now they're hit with this. A lot of our facilities in town don't even have outdoor seating, at
Yes.
least not to speak of.
Hmm.
Um, and so the question becomes, how can we work with them to support their business so that they're not forced to close again?
Hmm.
So we're actively doing that. In fact, if you go up and down Main Street today, you'll already see that we've surrendered parts of our sidewalk to
Oh,
outdoor dining,
hmm.
provided that there's appropriate wheelchair access and folks
Hmm.
so they can get
Social
by.
distancing. Hmm.
Yeah, so you'll see that up and down Main Street, and within a week's time, you will start seeing dining actually out in the parking areas of Main Street and some of the
Oh,
side
okay. I was
streets.
going to ask. Uh-huh. Oh, that
So
would be great.
yeah,
How
we're
how
not
how would we work that? A couple of three, four spaces per restaurant, or?
exactly what
Hmm.
we need to do because we're not closing the street. the way Main Street or State Street up in Santa Barbara has done, is we're looking to put cement railing up for the protection of those sitting there and the vehicles, but to create a outdoor patio, if you will, that restaurants can utilize. And we're not charging them at this point for the encroachment, onto the sidewalk or the roadway. If this goes beyond Labor Day, we might need to look at, both for cleaning of facilities and also the longevity of it, whether there needs to be some compensation. But at this point, it just seems like the right thing to do to support them.
Yes, it certainly does. That's great, because I would say probably about 30% of the restaurants already had some sort of outdoor, or even that many. It's probably even less than
maybe
that.
Even 20%. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's taken a hit, and people do want to get out, and they do want to support local businesses. I mean, they've been very, very vocal and and demonstrated that they want to support local businesses. So hopefully this will give them an opportunity to, and be careful when you're out in public, but at least get out of the house and go have a meal, or even, and of course they're all selling meals to go too.
Yes.
So, you can still pick up your favorites, et cetera, but a lot of it's psychological. We've been, I guess, when was this shut down? March 18th?
March 18th. Yep.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Well, it has, and I really worry that we have businesses that were already struggling. They may have gotten some county or federal support, which would be great if they have, but most small mom and pop shops haven't gotten a lot of relief. And I suspect that even as COVID lifts, that we're going to see more and more stores that just don't reopen. I've noticed throughout all of this, like Zapparelli's Pizza hasn't opened their doors yet. So I'm sorry, not Zapparelli's.
I was going to say
Zapparelli's is in business. Yes.
Yeah.
Didn't want to start any bad rumor there.
There you go.
But Tuscany Pizzeria down on Main Street has never opened. So, I worry about businesses like that even opening up their doors again. And of course, we know Garmin's is not opening.
Right. And that was a huge loss, and on Main Street. And it's just that, yes, and that's true. I mean, it's very hard on small businesses, and it's hard too, because on one hand they're told, okay, go ahead and open up with social distancing. We all went out during that, and all of the restaurants were abiding to it, and all that jazz, and wearing masks or face covering, and then they pull the plug again. And if you don't have outdoor dining, then you're really in trouble. You can still do takeout though. So, but still, you want people to stop by.
That's right.
That's really something. Now, what are the plans for the summer? As far
I mean, we're thick into summertime and having to make constant adjustments. Our public, I think, is eager to be out and about and enjoy the family time, which is great. But we're seeing more and more problems in our parks. We're having to more actively monitor those. We had to take down basketball hoops because the number of kids that were out playing, 30, 40 kids gathered together, was not something that was appropriate. And so while our parks remain open, a lot of our facilities are not. However, we are starting classes. In fact, this coming Monday, summer school will start back up. It's limited to 40 participants as opposed to like 340, which we've had in the past. But there is still registration opportunities for that. There's other recreation classes for kids, families, seniors that are going to be starting up this summer. And we're really trying to do what we can to support activity for this community. It's so important that people get out, have a chance to exercise. It's great to see our gyms back open, and hopefully the governor doesn't tinker with that. But there's just a limit to what people are allowed to do even through these summer months. So we just need to ask for families to be mindful and respectful of that. You still can't have large gatherings, and
that's true.
That's just important to understand. So that's kind of how things look this summer.
Let me ask you, when they go out and you say they have a lot of kids and they're playing basketball and they have to stop off and just, do they have any hands out they give them to take home to their parents that can impress upon them about, you have to abide by the guidelines. You're risking an illness. You're risking an illness in your family. You're risking an illness to yourself, whatever. I mean, I think a lot of people don't understand that it's not even their child getting sick as much as their child giving it to others. And then it goes up the chain in the
Sure.
family that could get to somebody who's very vulnerable.
I think it's a reasonable suggestion, but I suspect if we were to hand out to a bunch of kids flyers to bring home, there's very few that would actually make it home.
There'd be airplanes all over. There'd be
We'd probably be picking up a lot of trash as soon as our staff walked away. We are, however, doing more and more media and outreach. We were using our website as the primary portal for that sort of thing.
Yes.
But now we're really relying as much on social media and trying to push out messages. And we'll be doing another one in this next week to remind people about these restrictions.
And you're doing that on Channel 10 also?
Channel 10 has a lot of the videos like the one we're doing today. But we don't have, there's some bulletin board stuff, but there's not too much kind of printed material on that channel.
Yeah, well, constant reminders, it's like Chinese water torture. The more you see it, the more it starts to sink in, so, but that's good. Anything else I should know about, or better yet, anything I shouldn't know about? That's always my favorite.
Right. I think it's important to just try and remind people to stay vigilant. It's not great to have to adhere to all these restrictions, but the more we can, the more we slow this thing down, the sooner we get out of it and we don't have to see the rolling back of additional restrictions.
That brings up another thing too. What about this weekend? They're expecting a really severe heat wave. And
yes.
Is this community center going to be able to open up and have a cooling center for seniors and other people that might be affected by the heat?
Not at this point, but we have been talking about it, and especially during potential power shutoffs.
Oh, yes.
So we are working with Edison. We have a cooperative agreement with them to help support the use of the community center during power shutoffs. But we don't actually have a warming or a cooling shelter like some of the more inland communities do. I know Simi Valley and Moore Park and Thousand Oaks do. I would suggest you try and open up the windows and enjoy that cool ocean breeze we get.
Yes, and also a nice wet washcloth or something around your neck near a fan helps tremendously. I don't have air conditioning, so I know all the tricks,
Yes.
Anything you'd like to add, Dan? I appreciate you taking time today, but is there anything you'd like to cover or like to add?
Just want people to be safe, and thank you for adhering to safety rules during 4th of July. It was a tough weekend for a lot of people. So
yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And don't forget, you can see this at kadytv.net or Channel 10 on your cable station. It's the government cable station, Spectrum Channel 10. And if you do visit KADY-TV and go to the YouTube, be sure to hit subscribe. It's free and it helps continue to bring this programming to you. And Dan, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to see you and have you catch up the community. Okay, and thank you so much.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye.